Okay, we are ready to start some Wit and Wisdom. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to go to things that we talked about last week, and that's when we're trying to match our noun and our verb. And another way that that's called, and that's what they do in like 5th grade. So you guys are doing like 5th grade stuff right now. It's called subject-verb agreement. So we learned it last week as if your noun or the first word has an S, then your verb or the second word can't have an S. Or if your noun, your first word, doesn't have an S, then your verb or your second word has to have an S. Remember, one of them has to have the S and the other one doesn't, because if they both do, it doesn't sound right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some sentences, and I want you to put your thumb up if you say, yeah, that sounds right, that's amazing, or if you put your thumb down, you're saying, no, that doesn't make sense, and it's hurting my ears, it sounds so bad. So here we go. Your first sentence says, the clouds are in the sky. Yes or no? You should say, yes, this sounds right. And how I know is I can see right here, there's an S at the end of clouds, and there's nothing at the end of R, okay? Let's go to the next one. The clouds brings rain. Yes or no? You should be saying, no, that hurts your ears because it's got an S and an S. So we know that doesn't make sense because only one of them is allowed to have an S, either the first word or the second word. Now let's look at the next sentence. It says, the winds blows in the storm. Yes or no? You should be saying no because that should hurt your ears. It doesn't make sense to say the winds blows. It's too many zzz at the end. So we know that because they both have S's, that can't be right. All right, let's listen to the last one. The tree sways in the wind. Yes or no? You should be saying yes because this word doesn't have an S, but this one does. So that's exactly right. So that one sounds correct. Now, what I want us to do is I want us to think of the wind. I have some words that I got from our book, Feel the Wind, and I want us to put what should go there. Meaning, are we going to write wind or winds? So you got to be listening to the end of our word. So one thing it does is blows. It also flaps, bring, strike, rises, move. Now, I want you to think. We're going to say the wind or the winds. So what would go here? The wind blows or the winds blows? I hope you said the wind because that's what makes sense. The wind blows. All right, let's look at the next one. The wind flaps. The winds flaps. I hope you said the wind because the wind flaps makes sense. If you say it the other way, ooh, it kind of hurts your ears. The winds flaps. Too many zzz at the end, remember? All right, what about this one? The wind bring, the winds bring. I hope you said the winds because notice there is no S over here. So the other word has to have an S, that first word. The winds bring. All right, what about this one? The wind strike, the winds strikes. Sorry, that was terrible. The winds strike, the wind strike. That one I'll help you out with because I messed up. We should say the winds because look right here. It doesn't have an S. So if we say the wind strike, it doesn't sound right. But if we say the winds strike, that sounds right. How about this one? The wind rises, the winds rises. I hope you said the wind because that other one hurt my ears. The wind rises because check it out. It does have an S. So the other word, our first word, doesn't need an S. How about this one? The wind move, the winds move. The winds move, because this word does not have our S. So remember, either the first word or the second word has to have your S. Now, we're going to review 2 more, and then when we finish, you all are going to do an activity using noun and verb matching or subject-verb agreement. All right, so let's look at this one. I have 2 sentences, and I have 2 verbs that need to go in them. You need to help me figure out which verb goes where. So this says, the wind blank direction. Change, changes. The wind blank direction. Change, changes. Changes. Why? Because this word is missing an S. Our first word, our noun, is missing an S. So our second word or our verb has to have the S to make it make sense. So now our sentence says, the wind changes direction. Oh, that sounds like a beautiful sentence. Now let's look at the next one. The wind's blank direction. Change, changes. The wind's blank direction. Change, changes. Change, because look right here. This one already has the S. So if we put another S, it doesn't make sense. So your noun had the S, which means your verb doesn't need it. The winds change direction. Okay, here's our very last one, just to get our brains moving. And then you're off to the races on your own. Hot air rises. You should have said rises, because air doesn't have an S. So our verb has to have it. What about this one? Clouds blank rain. Brings. Bring, because look here. This has the S. So our verb should not have an S. Clouds bring rain. All right, what about our last one? The cloud blank rain. Brings. Brings, because we're missing an S on our noun. The cloud brings rain. Great job. Now, you are going to get your own opportunity to practice matching your noun and your verb, or using subject-verb agreement.